Okay, good evening, everyone. I call the regular City Prescott Council meeting to order. It is Monday, December 11th at a little bit after 6. Do roll call. John?
Here.
Lindsay?
Here.
Bailey?
Here.
Maureen?
Here.
And Pat and Dar are excused. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comments. The council received public comments on any issue related to the agenda. Limited discussion by the council may take place. Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. This is City Council minutes from November 27th, Parks and Public Works minutes from November 29th, Police Commission minutes from December 4th, General Fund balances from November, cash balances from November, paid invoices report from November, and the Media Center of the Month news story in the Prescott Cable Television.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is public hearing. The first item, do we have to open the public hearing before I call Greg?
No, you can have Greg go first and then open the
Okay.
public hearing afterwards.
So we're going to review Locust Street final assessment report and project overview. Greg?
The final assessment report was put together, and this largely followed the preliminary assessment report process, but it reflected some of the things that went into it were the actual unit prices, which went into the sewer and the curb and gutter prices, and those were higher this year than we had estimated in the preliminary. So that created an increase in some of the assessments pretty much across the board. The curb and gutter price, I don't have the preliminary numbers with me, but they were higher. Both the concrete curb price and the PVC lateral prices were higher. And that's why we have to have the final assessment hearing, because that number is greater than the preliminary. But it followed basically the same format as the preliminary. And I guess with that, I guess I can take any questions that you might have on the final assessments.
Is that just due to increase in material prices?
Yeah.
And we added in the sidewalk as well.
Yeah, that's not part of
Oh.
the only things that are assessed is curb and gutter and the sanitary lateral. Those are the two components that are assessed to homeowners. It follows the city's assessment policies. I mean, one unique thing, not unique, every community usually has a corner lot, some type of policy with which corner lots would get assessed, and that was reviewed by the city. They had gone through the information they had to determine, is a corner lot credit applicable here. So I don't have that corner lot, I can't remember your exact methodology on corner lot credits, because I did get asked a question by somebody.
So the corner lot, I believe, off the top of my head, it's 50% on the short side and then 100% on the long side.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions or comments for Greg? Okay, so the next item was to hold the public hearing on the Locust Street final assessment.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
A motion, a second to open the public hearing on local street final assessment. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we are now public hearing.
I guess would this be open to
Yep,
anybody?
it's open
wanted
to anybody that wants to come up
Okay.
and talk.
Sure.
Well, tell us who you are, address, all that stuff, huh?
Tom Oss, 154 Locust Street. I have two questions regarding primarily, well, the first question is what was just discussed, the corner lot credit. And I didn't quite understand, I have a corner lot, I paid for curb and gutter assessment on the Kinnikinnick side a number of years ago. And I got this and I see I'm not given any corner lot credit. And I was wondering about that. And then number two is for my lateral, I paid for and installed a lateral PVC connection all the way to the sewer line 30 years ago. And I stood over it as they dug it for this project. And you could see the clean line running all the way down into the sewer. Well, then they backed up to the edge of the sewer, cut off my line, and installed a new line with the new sleeve style, which is an expansion sleeve to get away from adhesives and so on and so forth. And I thought that was a mitigating circumstance for being charged the full amount of lateral, and I would like to have that addressed. It didn't make sense to me. I already paid for it once, I paid the city fees, I paid everything else to run that line from my new addition to the street.
Tom, did this come up before before when there were individual meetings with homeowners who had?
I brought it
something?
up at that meeting and I asked for what the lineal foot price was gonna be for laterals. And I'm not sure if that question was understood, but there was no answer at that time. And I see now, looking at the entire assessment all the way up the street, everybody's getting charged the same thing for a lateral. So there's no relief for a mitigating circumstance.
So you're arguing that you already had an existing lateral that was good and that you shouldn't have had a replacement done?
Well, to bring it up to modern standards, they would have had to put in a section of pipe, a short section of pipe at the main with an expansion joint to meet mine. That's the way I understand it.
There was a,
Come up to the podium, please,
sure,
Craig.
we did a cured in place pipe liner, if you remember, on the sanitary sewer to save money. The sanitary manholes were all precast and in excellent shape. And on the exterior of the old clay tile, they had to take that clay tile pipe off. Each lateral got a watertight Y fitting that was connected to that. And then the new PVC pipes were put on, from that up to the right of way. So that was the policy, for the lateral connection construction.
So that's what they're all being assessed for, is that lateral connection?
The way the city's lateral, it follows the city's assessment policies that I've assisted with for every project. And it isn't like on a linear foot price, it's a per each. So it's taken a kind of a commonality of a typical length from the right of way to the main, but it's unit price driven. It's based on the material price. So that, so a person that if the sanitary sewer shifted way over to one side of the street and one, if it wasn't right in the center, you know, one half of people would be getting a lot of, I'm guessing that's why the city has that policy. It's a little more equitable. They're all getting the same price. Some might be slightly longer than others, but I think it's still serves the intent of a newly constructed lateral, so.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, basically, I understand what's being said about that, and the prices for digging are the same for everybody, I understand that. But they could have cut that PVC pipe off of mine 2 feet from the main, put on the sleeve, and connected it to the main, and it would have been exactly the same. So that's the point I'm making, is the lineal feet. I already did this once, I already paid the city fees once. That's all.
Okay,
Thanks, Tom.
My name is Doug Reinhardt, 253 Locust Street South. When my assessment was made early before the project started, it was $6,800. The bill I got was $9,017.95, an increase of $2,200 from my assessment to my, and I believe that's way over what it should be. I don't think anybody on Locust Street was charged an upcharge that much as I was on my property. And I'm wondering, you know, why it was. So the explanation I got was I have 2 laterals. Well, I didn't know I had 2 laterals. First of all, the city probably should have known that more than me, having looked back at the records, because I don't, you know, I didn't know if we had 2 laterals or not. But still, $2,200 is a lot of money from what they estimated it at to what we have now. And I just want to know why it's so high. And I have a corner lot also, by the way. And I went from $6,800 to $9,000. That's $2,200 increase. I don't think anybody on Locust Street had that high of an increase.
Do you have the the proportions of increases for each property?
I don't know.
I didn't do that, I should have done that. Mine went up
I
quite a
can share
bit
the
too.
mic here with you. You can stay if you want.
Nope.
And what he indicated was correct. We had contacted them, I think it was probably your wife, during construction, because there were 2 laterals that appeared to be live to this one home. And it was confirmed that both laterals served the house. I think the explanation was, I think there was an addition put on the house at one point and a connection was made. There were a lot of lateral connections on this line for whatever reason. Some were not used. I think it was just the way that was platted many, many years ago. But that's what the increase in cost, because the preliminary had 1 lateral, the preliminary assessment had 1 lateral cost, and it inevitably had the 2 to get that to keep the plumbing, you know, connected to the home. I've never seen 2 laterals on a home either, but we didn't have record of which ones were live or not. That had to be verified as it was constructed. You'd have to spend a pretty exhaustive sanitary sewer study to have everybody dye test everybody's home with a live camera in them, one at a time, to indicate which sewer is live. You could probably spend $60,000 for a company to come in or something to do that. And what was done is it's just verified as they're being connected. So the increase is largely driven by the $2,079 is a second lateral. So a lot of that cost was that second sewer lateral.
So both sewer laterals are live, coming from the
Correct.
house?
Yeah, they are.
And if one was to be eliminated, they'd have to replumb the house?
We even looked at that. They're on the side with the underground electric, that 3-phase feeder from the substation which runs there. But we shot the elevations, but it would have been too flat to try to and we'd have to go into the yard digging under that three-phase power conduit, which was roughly at the right-of-way. That was a little bit into the road more. But there wasn't enough grade across it to run it to one common connection point, and then you'd have to have a clean out at both of those turning points. And I think overall the footage would have probably been even a little bit longer. So what seemed to maintain the best flow was just to connect them there. So that would largely be the roughly $2,079 is that second lateral. So.
Okay.
To me, I'm just saying that I feel it's not fair for $2,000 increase from what was the estimate that we get. If you get a $2,200 increase in your thing, expecting to maybe get a $300 increase or $400, which most of the other people on Locust Street got, and then all of a sudden now I'm getting a $2,200 increase. That's a lot of money. And I'm just saying, I don't believe that's fair for one homeowner to have to pay that lateral or not lateral. I mean, it's just part of the construction. And I didn't know there were two laterals, as he says he didn't know there were two laterals. But they should have known better than I knew when they did the estimate for it. So I just feel I'm being overcharged for what I have.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I can maybe try to build our case better, but more, add some stuff. So what I do know about,
tell us who
my
you
name
are,
is Kay
please?
Reinhardt at
Okay, thank you.
253 Locust Street. What I do know is, at the time, we did not know there was two laterals or how many laterals there were. You know, we would have only needed one. I don't think it was the homeowner's choice who built the home to have two laterals put in it. I can't confirm or deny that, but, and then I always go back to, well, I think the house was built, there was no additions into that house. You know, it was built as it was. I think originally it had septic tanks. And then, of course, when they came with sewer and water, then it was the city's choice to run how many laterals it was. It wasn't the homeowner's choice. And so when we were just kind of surprised that I mean, all said and done, it's just one homeowner's usage. I get what you're saying regarding lateral connections, but I don't know that that was our choice to begin with as a homeowner, you know. So it was that it wasn't documented anywhere, or, I mean, I would have thought the city would have had it, that they should have been in the estimate ahead of time, so. And that's all. I mean, it was just kind of a shock to say, what? When, you know, end all be all, it's one household, one lateral. You typically would not have that even, maybe in a duplex, I don't know. But anyway.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Any motion to close the public hearing?
Do we know when the septic was pulled out?
Pardon me?
When the septic was pulled out? I'm just wondering, like when we actually started doing it. It was a long time ago, wasn't it? Quite a while ago? We started doing sewer and water, I mean, that was years ago, isn't it?
I have no idea when they started doing it. That'd be back prior to 60s. So is there anything else for the public hearing? I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the next item on the agenda is a resolution 51-23 declaring intent to levy special assessments under police power pursuant to section 66.0703 of Wisconsin state statute. And I'll need a motion for that as well.
Okay, just a second. I can't find the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 51-23 declaring intent to levy special assessments on police powers pursuant to section 66.0703.
Second?
Okay, thank you. I have a motion, a second to approve the resolution 51-23. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, Bailey?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Lindsay? Okay, motion carried, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is reports of standing committees and commissions. Nothing for finance. Planning Commission, next meeting is Tuesday, January 2nd at 6. Parks and Public Works, have a committee report, Bailey?
Yep, so we reviewed the Elm and Washington Street concept plan, discussed several driveways, and then we also touched base on our current ordinance that we have around second driveways, which we agreed to keep it the same. We also reviewed the compost site project, and we had an update from well number 3. We're still waiting to hear back from the DNR. For the parks portion of things, we did take a look at the riverfront concept plan. And then also the review of the CIT proposal for the Prescott Beach bathrooms, and then removing the stone trash cans, and then moving towards just the normal type trash cans in the parks. And then also Abe the Eagle, which will be on the agenda later.
Okay, thank you. The next meeting for Parks and Public Works is Tuesday, January 16th at 5 o'clock. Excuse me. Health and Safety, next meeting Monday, January 8th at 5 o'clock. Personnel, next meeting Wednesday, February 7th at 5. Next item on the agenda is communications and new business. Public comments, the city will receive public comments on any issues not related to agenda items. Limited discussion by the council may take place. However, no action will be taken on any item, including receiving written documents or possible action at a future meeting.
So, we can't talk about the circumstances that we discussed at the open meeting, and it's just all evaporated now, it's all done? There's no consideration by the council for these mitigating circumstances?
I didn't hear
It's just
any,
over?
I didn't hear anybody bring anything up, Tom.
Well,
We heard both of us bring up,
The council had the opportunity to talk about it, so did the staff.
I mean,
I get it.
everything is gonna be done about it, or is it just that?
I get it.
But you do have 2 sewer laterals, sir. Huh?
I mean, is there anything that can be done about that, Matt? I mean, and Greg? At this point, the work's already done, right?
Correct. I mean, our policy has been every lateral that goes to a property is assessed as long as, and as well as the linear square feet for the curb and gutter. So, and again, the corner, our code specifically says for corner lots, the long lot should be assessed at 100%, and then the short side of the lot will be at a 50% discount. Both of the cases that were brought up tonight were both on the long side of the lot was on Locust Street, so there would be no 50% credit for that work. In terms of our policy, now if council wanted to look at that code and change it, that would be something we'd have to do if you wanted to do that going forward. But that has been our policy for a number of years. I know before I was here that that's what we've done with our assessments.
And what about the number of laterals running to like our house? That's, I mean, you definitely
Come
know
up
that
to
it
the
wasn't
podium,
a
ma'am.
homeowner's request.
Come up to the podium if you're gonna speak. But the public hearing has been closed, and you're gonna,
Not the second one.
Here, yeah.
Public
It's
hearing has
over.
been
We're
closed.
gonna have a ban anyway, right?
okay, so
I
if
mean, you
you,
guys would be okay with that?
if you wanna
if it
bring
was
it up
your
and
house.
come back up to the staff, you can do that. You know, just for public record, everything was followed according to the city codes and assessments.
I could just, and I spoke with her on the phone when we encountered the second lateral, and there was no other cheaper way to make this connection to avoid the two lateral connections. I've never, in 30 years of doing this, I've never seen two laterals to a residential home, but it existed. The city doesn't have all of those records at their disposal. I mean, some of this could have been built 60, 70 years ago. I don't know how old it was, but it was old clay tile. And I did talk with her, and that was the information she gave me. She confirmed that one was live, but it wasn't known during the preliminary assessment hearing. We assumed one lateral per home. So I can understand that was a big change, but it's a per each. I don't have the, I can't deviate from, I guess if you want to call it, kind of different treatment for everybody. They get a lateral, or if they had two, you know, it's, one person requested a second lateral to be put in on an empty lot. Per his direction, we did that. We rebuilt, but it was for a future large lot that would be developable. But he requested that too, so that's why he also has two. But that's a little bit of the history on it. I was aware, I was actually on site when, you know, we had full-time inspectors out there, but I was on site that day when they had, and we called her, I think, maybe once or twice on the phone, and she had verified that it did have two laterals, so I didn't want to get into
So
it.
they knew that before?
She told me that that line was live because we were seeing water in it, but we were seeing more in the other side. But anyway, that is the, you know, some of the infield documentation that happened when we encountered that, so during the construction.
And I guess just to follow up there, back when the second lateral was put in, or if it was part of it, we don't know if, to their point, we don't know if it was a requirement of the city or if it was a requirement of the homeowner that they wanted to do that. We don't have any records to say why there were two laterals put in at this house specifically.
Typically, interior plumbing would have, you know, could have been plumbed internally, but that's a significant change to reroute internal plumbing to try to make it all go to one side.
Any other public comments? Okay, next item on the agenda is the Prescott Tourism Committee 2023 year in review and approval of the 2024 budget.
I will turn it over to Todd London, who's a member of the Prescott Tourism Committee.
Can I connect or no?
Maybe. What's the best way? Like a USB or?
I can do anything if you have a connection. There's an HDMI. All right, well, we'll stick with this because it's the older one. You have the spreadsheet too?
Yeah, well, the spreadsheet's in the packet, but the presentation, the non-edited one from you
Yeah.
is up there.
Well, that's what I
So,
figured.
Yeah,
That's okay.
okay.
We'll run with it. Just don't hold it against me. In happier news, let's talk about the tourism committee in 2023.
How can you get that down? So you-
Oh, sorry, I could have done that.
Just the arrows.
Oh, okay. I have control. So a couple things to remind everybody. Number one, we were established about a year and a half ago, July 2022. We spent the better part of 18 months figuring out where to go. In January, we had our last meeting where we reviewed our mission statement. We've been holding monthly meetings to discuss how we're going to drive tourism. Without reading the whole thing, the vision of the tourism committee is beds and heads. So anything that we can do to drive traffic here and get them to stay here overnight so they participate in everything that our lovely city has to offer, including lodging, which is funding some of this. A few of the things that we've done recently, so and we talked about this in January, we're creating a grant form where anybody could fill out an application for grant monies from the tourism committee. That form required them to have matching funds and have a point of view on how they're going to drive the beds and heads. That went live. We were able to give out our first grant. Went to Freedom Park, more on that in a little bit. We've also been able to participate in a number of different activities that are happening. In fact, one of the things that we didn't take credit for is we also helped fund all of the Christmas lights around the city. So woohoo! Some of the big events that we help sponsor, and this, as a reminder from January, in the first year, we're trying to figure out what are the dollars, how do we get to a grant process, and in the meantime, how do we create activities? So we spearheaded a lot of those committees, and you can see a couple of examples here, starting with Prescott Winterfest. We're only about a month away from the 2024 version of Winterfest. If you did have the new PowerPoint loaded, there would also be this amazing animation where the flyer comes in. That's the big miss here. But on the right, you can see we had a coloring contest. We have our award winners in the bottom right. We gave away buttons for Winterfest. We're doing the same thing this year. Really exciting. It was a successful event. We have some of our ice sculptures that were winners. Drew a lot of traffic. We're very pleased with the outcome. We also held a wedding fair in March of this year. Again, same thing, driving traffic to Prescott in an intent to have people host their weddings here. So we had 40 different vendors in attendance. It was at Old Patax. And people learned about everything that Prescott Services has to offer so people can host their weddings here, which of course means that lots of people would be coming to Prescott. And that's one of the big drivers of lodging in our city. In addition to that, we did launch our grant learning and education event, so hosted at Lucille's. We invited people from the community to join us. This was our first marketing effort, and as you can see by the turnout, in fact, we even called out overtly, low turnout. We had 3 people, but there were lots of libations, so we had as many libations as 5 people could have handled probably. So we did engage with the community, trying to help them understand what is the grant, how do you get money, et cetera. But this was a big pivotal moment for us as we try to figure out how do we make sure that the city understands what the tourism committee does and how do we fund events to drive the beds and heads. So we're going to mark that as part of a step in our evolution. We also did offer a grant for the Freedom Park Fundraiser and Festival. There were a couple of changes that happened this year. If you already participated in the Freedom Park Festival, you probably knew that this year, it was 2 days. One of the reasons why it was 2 days So people would stay overnight. So that drove some of that decision-making. And our dollars were specifically earmarked to drive marketing of the Freedom Park fundraiser to people outside of Prescott, to get people into Prescott and see, again, everything that our great city has to offer. So I talked a little bit about our evolution. I would say our Prescott committee is loaded with hustlers. We do a lot of event creation and event management. We are not an event team, and we have not been successful through word of mouth, no pun intended, related to the Facebook plan, although we did post there, around marketing Prescott and driving people to Prescott, or about our grant program. So you'll see when we cover our dollars, we didn't give away nearly the number of grants that we wanted to give away. So what we've done is, Megan, our chair, had reached out to the state of Wisconsin and started talking with the state on what do other tourism committees do to drive knowledge, social awareness around grant programs around the city itself. That led us to engaging in an RFP, request for proposal process, with marketing firms. So we did have that RFP. We had 3 different presentations and new news. And again, this is an amazing animation that comes across in italics. We did hire somebody. So we now have a marketing group, Marikai. This is a person that's been doing this since 2012. She works for a lot of different cities and local businesses. She is based out of Wisconsin. And she has a tremendous amount of flexibility. She has multiple people on staff. And some of the things that we really liked is she already has a plan because she's done this before, and we have a learning curve. So that was one of the things that resonated. The next thing that resonated is the way that she has monetized the business. It is very customizable. So we don't have to sign up for everything right now, like some of the other marketing firms. We get to learn with her what's going to be right for Prescott, and the correlating expense associated with that will match that. We're also able to leverage Jasmine's skills, our new support person from the Chamber of Commerce, who also has participated in social marketing, to teach us as we go while we're still driving beds and heads and awareness for Prescott, and of course our grant program. So we're very excited about this change. This is new news, and we are starting to work with Marikai this year. So you'll see a lot more coming in the next year around social media and everything that Prescott has to offer, with the intent, again, of spending our money. Is it possible to bring up the Excel spreadsheet?
Well, I have the one page of the Excel spreadsheet, the 2024 budget. I don't think we can bring it up there, but it's in their packets.
Depends on if Matt has it, I'm guessing. Is this your computer that we're looking at?
No, this is the,
Oh, this is this hard drive?
I can,
All right, well, I guess I'll just go off of here. So as we look at 2023, first off, and I'm going from memory, so I don't know the exact sense. But for 2023, we are right now forecasted to end the year with about $36,000. That does not include the reserve, and we've been holding a 10% back for the reserve, which is why you see a number that's a little bit higher. We went into this year and we've spent, in totality, do you have a packet on you? So I could maybe look at it?
We only have one page, Todd.
We funded several events, but the one grant that we had donated was the Freedom Park grant. So we're not giving away enough money. And in retrospect to this year, we spent a lot of time, I think, supporting a number of really great activities. Lots of conversation in town, and did bring people from outside. We plan on continuing to do some of those activities. As you saw, we're doing the Winter Festival again in January, but we need to shift our focus to spending the money, and we need people to help spend that money for us, which is why we're following the best practices of other tourism committees across the state of Wisconsin to drive the marketing to get people to apply. So our plan next year is to finish at an incremental, I think it's $200 year over year of income, because our intent for next year will be to spend all of the money that we earn while still maintaining a reserve. And we'll still have this $36,000 or so from 2023.
Do you guys not spend much? for this last year, so that's not a bad thing. At least you have it for next year for other events.
We have it for a rainy day. I would say our biggest failure is we didn't know how to get people to know that we had the money to give them. And that's why we're moving into phase 2 of the Prescott Tourism Committee.
It takes a while for these things to kick off anyway, so, yeah.
Yep, but we do have an engaged team. We have a couple new members, so we're really excited about what 2024 will be. Are there any questions?
Oh, it's all really exciting.
Yeah.
I like the winter stuff that you guys did last year, or this year, I should say.
It's gonna be both years.
Yeah, both years.
Rock
Well,
on.
the ice carvings were super cool.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch.
Well, and I do think that this is a good direction to go, is with the marketing firm. I like the way that it can tailor to your needs and you can learn the way you talked about it, to learn with, because I think there's a lot about marketing that those folks can know about that we can try.
Yeah, we agree. Yeah, it was a great learning process even to go through the RFP
Yeah.
and understand what different firms can do and what they've done for cities. So we're pretty excited about where this is going.
Well, if she's from Osceola, she's probably done comparable sized cities, I would assume, to
She
kind
has,
of like
yep.
what we have, so it has probably some really good learnings from what worked, what didn't work.
What was the date for Winterfest?
January.
January 13th.
January 13th.
I saw that in the.
This coming? Or
Yeah.
last year? Yes, January.
This coming, yeah.
Yeah, last year I think it was the 24th.
Looks good.
Is that because you're getting ready? Picking out a winter jacket?
There we go, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Are we doing ice carving again?
Yeah,
Yes.
Nice.
I would make a motion to approve the Prescott Tourism Committee 2024 budget.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Prescott Tourist Committee 2024 budget. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to approve the Downtown Riverfront Phase 2 concept plan and public informational meeting on January 18th at 5:30. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So we had our city council workshop on October 11th, and then on November 29th, Parks and Public Works Committee reviewed it one more time, that's concept plan. The minor changes that we did make at that meeting, we removed 2 trailer parking spaces to allow for easier access to the boat launch for those people coming in and out to circulate traffic. Removed the outfitter designation at 256 Front Street, as this is no longer considered within the project scope. And then we added a crosswalk and sidewalk at 2nd Street and Front Street. The one thing that is still not in the concept plan but would be part in a future revision is the addition of a bathroom / shelter at the boat launch / Jake's Park. So with that, what we're looking for council tonight is to approve the concept plan with those changes and additions, and then move forward with having a public informational meeting on Thursday, January 18th at 5:30 PM. I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions.
I would make the motion to approve.
I just have one question.
Sure.
I would second your motion, but yeah. Why did we decide to remove the outfitter? Is that
Just out of
just?
scope. It's just out of scope because of, basically, we were looking at it from a cost perspective, like, if we were gonna do an outfit for there, we would have to get it up to commercial code,
Oh,
and that would be substantial. So we're like, let's just pause on this for now, because we didn't wanna halt the whole project, since
Yeah.
we have momentum going behind it.
okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, I have a motion, a second to approve the Riverfront Phase 2 concept plan, public informational meeting on January 18th. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval of agreement between the City of Prescott and Hague Gov for payment processing of licenses, permits, and fees. Yeah,
Do you want me up there or do you want me here? Does it matter?
whatever you want to do.
Okay. So essentially, the
city staff has been looking into other options. Right now, we currently have PSN doing all of our online payment processing. They've been great. It's a fact that people pay the utility bills online. It gets directly implemented in our software. It's been a pretty smooth process with them. However, the only thing that they can handle for us that with that implementation is utilities. So all of our miscellaneous payments, any boat launches, anything like that that's done at our front window, we have to do the transaction at the window and then we go back again and then do it again in our offices. If we transfer to HeyGov, they can do all of the implementation together. And currently at our front window, we have a cash drawer that has an envelope that has little slots for each department for we took a utility payment or we took a building permit or we took a dog license. And then we take that envelope back to our office and put it into the system. If we had the HeyGov system, it's more like running a cash register, like I'm working at Walmart and I scan an item and it's in as a dog license. That night it gets uploaded into our system that we got a dog license. So we can keep track of cash much better, have receipts easier for residents, and just have a much better record-keeping process with having the updated software. And when we first had I looked into 4 different companies, and this is the only company that can do it all. They can make all of our forms for us, which right now, if you go in and you get a dog license online, you go in, you fill out our form, you have to click a different link, which then brings you to the PSN link to then make payments, and things are getting missed, and it's really confusing for residents, where I've been snooping on other people in Wisconsin who have HeyGov and getting dog licenses and seeing how the process is and canceling at the end. And it's super slick, where I fill out the form, I make my payment, done in like 4 minutes. So just kind of simplifying everything. And they also have, which right now they're currently giving us for free just because we had conversations with them, all of our clerk's minutes are ran through HeyGov as well. And then we can also do our liquor licenses. So we're basically taking 4 different softwares and bringing it into one to streamline.
Make a motion to approve the agreement between the city of Prescott and HeyGov.
Second?
So we have a motion and a second for the approval agreement between the city of Prescott and HeyGov for payment, processing and licenses, permits and fees. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Beth. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 5223, approving a lease-to-own agreement with artist Dale Lewis for the riverfront sculpture of Abe the Eagle. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Rona already touched upon this, but Abe the Eagle, which is dedicated to a famous eagle that went into battle 37 times during the Civil War by the 8th Infantry Division of Wisconsin. We leased this sculpture for 2023, back in 2022 for a cost of $1,000. That lease is coming up. The Parks and Public Works Committee reviewed their options of what they would like to do, and overall they've decided to move forward with a recommendation to lease to own. So in 2024, we'd pay another $1,000 for that lease, and then those $1,000 lease payments in 22 and 23 would be subtracted from the total cost of the sculpture of $26,000. So from 2025 through 2034, we'd be paying $2,400, and then at that time we would fully own the sculpture for downtown. This money would be coming out of, speaking of our room tax, our 30% goes to a fund that we started called the Parks Improvement Fund. So those funds would go to pay this sculpture every year, assuming if it passes tonight before you. And a couple of the things that were asked, or at least one of the discussions was how long will the sculpture last? It is made out of stainless steel, and talking with them, they think it lasts at least 100 years for what they know of stainless steel. So that's kind of what they gave us for feedback, and if there are any repairs, they said that they would make them as necessary, although they have never said they haven't had issues with any of the other sculptures. So with that, I'll turn it over to the council for consideration of approving that lease-to-own agreement with artist Dale Lewis for the riverfront sculpture of Abe the Eagle.
Want Abe to stay, motion to approve.
Second, I love this eagle.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 5223, approving the lease to own agreement with
You don't
artist
like it?
Dale Lewis. Just let me finish because we have a motion and a second.
What's that?
Just give me a second here. Is there any discussion on the motion? Sir?
I feel like I'm gonna throw the wrench in a guy every time I come. Todd London, I own properties at 710 Lake Street and 206 Broad Street. In Hastings, the HPAC was able to secure grant money to fund the purchase of the Dale Lewis sculptures that are now run on the Riverwalk during 2023. I love the sculpture. I wish we had more of them. I think we should probably launch some kind of research investigation in a parallel path with this
Yeah.
to see if we can get the HPAC to also magically get grant money for Prescott, since it is the Hastings Prescott Art Committee.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
great
I'd like to
idea.
have more.
Thank you.
That's a
I-
good idea.
Freedom
Medusa, we
Park
want
has,
Medusa.
Freedom Park has 3 sculptures. And I asked
all
if they
right.
own them, but they don't own them.
No.
But they're still there, aren't they?
They
weren't there.
they switched them out every now and then. I can't remember the one that they had when I first got on council. They have a sturgeon up there.
Yeah,
last
I love
checked.
the sturgeon. I think that's a good idea. I think we should have more. I grew up in a city with public sculpture, and it was terrific.
Yeah, I think with the history around the Civil War in this area, I think it's a very fitting sculpture. So we want Abe to stay and hopefully add more.
Any other discussion on the motion? Not. Lindsay?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Thank you for your input. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda is approval of law enforcement officer reimbursement agreement between the city of Prescott and candidate Caleb Place. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll have Chief Michaels fill in too if I miss anything, but one of the things that we're really excited about is what we're considering tonight is the final remaining vacant position within our police force. And first, I guess I just want to commend Eric, Chris, and all the guys at the police department for the job they've done this last year. We've had, unfortunately, a rough year with candidates, and I think that's something that you see across states, the region, this country right now, is there's less and less people going into law enforcement. But so with this before you tonight is that law enforcement agreement with candidate Caleb Place. We'd be sending him through basic training as we did just recently with our last candidate. I'm forgetting his name right now, if Eric, if you can help me. Jacob. So it's the very same agreement. His training though would start in January and be for 3 months. 3.5 months. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions.
Motion to approve.
This is, second. This is the
As
second.
fast as I can. Before he runs. Yeah. Approve it
Yeah,
now.
before he takes off. This is our second candidate then that we've done this with. I'm so glad that's working.
So we hired one, and he's actually finishing right very close to top of the class. He's done, we actually go to his graduation on Thursday.
Cute.
We hired another one in July, August-ish. He just got done with FTO, so that was our second of 3.
Oh.
And now this one was actually, I gotta give kudos to Investigator Stewart, because this was a recruiting effort that he actually found this gentleman. He's from the area, so I think that's good, and it looks very promising as well.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the law enforcement officer reimbursement agreement between the city of Prescott and candidate Caleb Place. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item on the agenda is approval of agreement with CIT for secured access control doors at the Prescott Beach House for $6,695.
Thank you, Mayor. So right now, the city of Prescott, as you mentioned, or the city of Prescott, not as you mentioned, sorry, city of Prescott currently operates on a fully key system. So every one of our doors has its own separate key, and we have to keep track of them all. There's a picture within your packet that kind of shows all the different keys. Raises a number of issues, and one of the things we also want to do is try to logistically switch to a better system where we're not having our public works and police employees opening bathroom doors. So what we're looking for, at least tonight, is to start the implementation of moving to a fully electronic key card opening system that we'd like to transition through the whole city over time. What that would allow us then is better security. Those key cards, you can turn them off, on and off remotely. If someone's lost one of them, they just get turned off. It's not like a key where you'd have to rekey your whole system if one key gets lost if you're really worried about security. Allows us to give access control, so when we have a door that's on this system, we can set what time it unlocks or what time it locks, so we don't have to have, again, public works or police officers opening them and locking them. So it does allow that. And then overall, we can better have key management. So instead of having a whole bunch of keys for every door, we just have one key for every door. Once this system is fully implemented, that would allow us just to have those checked in and out, so we'd always know where that one key is, and we wouldn't have to have all these duplicates with all these different people. So right now, we're only looking to implement it at the one location of the Prescott Beach House to start with, as that's the one we've had the most issues with in terms of vandalism, but also that's the one that we're constantly dealing with employees having to lock it and unlock it during the summer. So looking to do that. One of the reasons we are looking to do that, because the last item is, as we just discussed, we had underemployed police departments, so we have a number of funds unfortunately left over, so we're looking to utilize some of those to implement that at the beach house. And then we'd be looking to, as we do projects, for instance, like Well House 3, we'd be looking to implement that as well when we redo that well house. So as we move forward, it would be a ongoing process. We wouldn't be looking to do it all at one time. This was considered by the Parks and Public Works Committee, and they did recommend approval for City Council to review by a vote of 2-0. So with that, I'll turn it over to Council for comments and questions. The proposal is before you from CIT for this work would be $6,695.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the agreement with CIT for secured access doors at the Prescott Beach House for $6,695. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Is there any like upkeep fees or is it just that flat rate that?
There's an annual license fee for the system, which is in the proposal, sorry.
No, it's okay, sure, but
It's $225 for this particular system.
that's it.
Anybody else?
So does that increase then with the more readers you add?
So the more licenses we add for each door, there'll be more license fees that go with it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I agree.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 5323, amending fee schedule for 2024. Rochelle?
All right, well, apparently it's been a while since we've gone through our fee schedule. And so, before you, we are asking for your review of some updates. And in my memo, we have the proposed changes. So we're trying to make things a little more clear for everybody, so we all know what things actually are. So the proposed changes amend the header to other permits and fees to public and safety fees. That definitely more appropriately reflects the lists that, the fees that are included in that list. Miscellaneous fees, we're gonna add non-resident compost fee. That was not on our previous fee schedule. Under animal licenses, we're looking to add the goat permit fee. We have had other people request goats on their property to basically do the same thing that we have them for down in the parks. And obviously, this is a new thing, so it's never been on the fee schedule before. Also, under animal licenses, we're looking to amend the not spayed or neutered dog fee to $30. Previously, it was only at 18. I guess it's more of an incentive for people to have their animals spayed and neutered. According to Eric's post the other day on Facebook, this is kind of an issue with animals at large. So then, under miscellaneous business and event licenses, we're gonna remove the special event license, as basically it's the same thing as a special event permit. So once there, we're cleaning that information up. Under miscellaneous business and event licenses, remove pruning, treating, removing, street or park trees, annual license. We've never used it, we don't even know what that's for. Under utility fees, amend the water hookup to also include a second water meter. The second water meter was never included previously, and it's the same charge, the $450. Under public and safety fees, we had Dawn add all of the fire department fees, and those are listed there in the memo. Those were previously never included, so we had no idea that those were even fees except for the fire department. They're the only ones that knew about it. So those are proposed changes to the 2024 fee schedule.
How about cats?
Cats and dogs are included under the same,
Are they?
yes.
I have a cat
And
license.
we used to have a cat license when you look in the ordinances, but that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, because they just seem to be running amok everywhere and spraying on people's garages.
Yeah.
So our copy of the 2024 says spayed or neutered dog, not spayed or neutered dog.
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
I don't, where is the cat under that same?
We don't have
We don't have the cat
Oh.
anymore.
Oh, I see. You should.
They're a nuisance. The ones that are roaming around free all over the place. Which there's quite a bit of them, and they're killing a lot of birds.
We do that.
You need a motion.
I'll make the motion. I wanna know what's going on with the dogs. I don't have Facebook, so I don't stay
No.
up to date with.
They just like to get out and visit all the neighbors.
We've had a lot of complaints lately of loose dogs running around and,
Barking dogs.
no, just loose
No,
ones.
just
Yeah.
loose ones.
I don't know if you guys got a call about that German Shepherd that attacked that guy. Is that the one you're talking about?
On Walnut Street.
Yeah, did he report? Is that what you were talking about?
That was one of them that wasn't reported that I found out about.
Yeah, I saw it happen. It was really scary. I thought about calling the police, and then I didn't want you to be mad at me.
The white one?
It was a German Shepherd. It was a guy walked down the street in front of me, and a German Shepherd started jumping up and biting him and following him. And I was walking with my dog, and I turned around, and I was like, "Oh, that's scary."
That might not be the one that I know about.
Oh well, it was on Walnut Street.
As long as it's not on Ash Street.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
What is the fee for that? Dog nuisance.
I think it depends. How many times, what it is.
Because if you're looking into that, then it's actually a citation that's issued to the pet owner. So there, it just depends on how many times they've been called to that residence or on that animal.
I think we had one case where the person had to find a new home for the animal
That
at
was-
Prescott.
That was many years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. That was down on Elm Street or one of them. I remember the names, but I don't remember what street it was on.
Yeah, I remember the incident, but I don't remember where it was. But the dog had bitten people a couple of times.
I made the motion to approve.
Yeah, it was second.
Oh, was it?
I think so.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Resolution 5323 amending fee schedule for 2024. Any discussion on the motion?
big cats in the future.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Loose cats.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution 5423 of support the Wisconsin Department of Transportation 2024-2028 Transportation Alternatives Program.
Thanks, Mayor. So I guess quickly, we applied for a TAP grant, and one of the things that the DOT is requesting is that we supply a resolution of support from our governing body, which is the council. So that is what's being brought before you tonight to turn that in with our grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to, second to approve Resolution 5423. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Hopefully we get it.
Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item on the agenda is approval of 2024 council committee meeting schedule. Matt?
So just an update to the schedule so we can post them on our calendar. Just looking to see if there's any concerns or changes that are requested for council for these three committees. Just to note, all of the commissions or boards are, like the Plan Commission, Library Board, those are all set separately by those commissions and boards. But so just looking for any feedback. If not, looking for a motion for approval, so then we'll post it on our calendar for 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the council committee meeting schedule. Any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, under other business, the city council meeting for December 25th will be canceled.
Thank you.
And the staff holiday party is Thursday, December 21st at 1 o'clock. Am I required to do bingo again?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a bingo game?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You should come.
I
It's
will.
cutthroat.
Highly competitive.
You gotta have thick skin to play in this game, right?
Is there any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Before you guys leave, can I get you to sign my...